How is he going to utilize Tyreek Hill? I got my popcorn like T.O. I'm ready, but I just don't see that working.
3 references in there. The Claude Rains Invisible Man is incredible. And T.O., get your popcorn ready. I know that you will be locked in. Tyreek goes from the Lambo to the Pinto.
Wow.
By the way, we had a Pinto. Shout out Sue and Dwayne. Rest in peace.
Nothing
my beloved
wrong
parents.
with it. Yeah, right.
That Pinto, I think it could go south on you in a hurry. I think 2 is better than a Pinto. That feels a little bit harsh to me. But for Tyreek Hill, he goes and gets $120 million, 72 of which is guaranteed. Devonte to the Raiders to go and join his college teammate Derek Carr, who I think is, I don't know if underrated. I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap. He's a better quarterback than he might otherwise be led to believe. You've got so many other huge contracts out there. Stefan Diggs gets $70 million to go to Buffalo. Michael Thomas, 60.5 to stick and stay in New Orleans, and DeAndre Hopkins gets $60 million as well. It seems like the next wide receiver who might be up for some chicken is the Niners' Deebo Samuel. Do you think that he ultimately will command this kind of guaranteed money?
You know what? I've said every positive adjective you could come up with to describe what I believe Deebo Samuel means. And I won't go as far as revolutionize the position, but he's been a Swiss Army knife. The guy can do it all. Now, do I believe he's a threat like a Devonte Adams in the passing game or DeAndre Hopkins? He had over 1,000 yards, so you would think I'd be leaning towards that. But to me, Deebo behind the line of scrimmage, showing off his Earl Campbell type of techniques to be able to run through tackles and have DBs just, shaking in their boots trying to tackle this guy, but it takes a toll. So sometimes he's often injured. And what's my saying, Dibs? The best ability is availability. But with that said, I believe he thinks he is in this, this club with these top 5 receivers we just mentioned. But for him to take down, and this is fact, I don't know what it means nowadays, but I don't think it's good when these kids, these young men, scrub their social media of where they work. They're saying something. There's a signal that I'm disgruntled, I'm not happy. So to me, I would be a little hesitant on giving him a blank check. But what are the Niners to do? Do they think Brandon Ayuk is about to break out? Does Kyle say or think I made Deebo in a sense? But, and does Lynch think, why would we invest so much money in this receiver who we use, as a crash dummy? I don't know. So it'll be interesting to watch. But right now on this lovely Sunday, if you had to ask me, does he get paid? I think so. But if that's the case, why does Deebo feel or his agent like something is off? And I'll pose that to you.
But just still a ways to go. He is not up for an extension just yet, although you're seeing players in his draft class get the money now. And obviously you want to do right by Deebo Samuel. But let's talk about Stefan Diggs, Goo, for a moment. $96 million deal, a huge number guaranteed. And Diggs gets $70 million guaranteed. And you look at his numbers, he's been spectacular early on in his career. 2-part question, Goo. First, Diggs as a top 5, top 3 receiver. And second, Buffalo now and their chances to be Super Bowl champs on the futures market.
I mean, he's a bad boy. He's a bad boy. 10 touchdowns last year? I mean, he was a bad boy before he even got to Buffalo. My thing is they need somebody to go with them. And they got somebody, but maybe they need another big boy. And I know it's hard to get actually 2 at the wideout position at the same time. But to me, he earned every bit of that chicken. Now it's the pressure's on Josh Allen and that organization to take the next step, an AFC Championship game. Some will say if the overtime rules were changed, they would be playing. But no shade towards Stefan Diggs here, Dibs. To me, he's a top 5 receiver, and I know we'll get into where I have him slotted at, but he's a bad boy. He's earned that. And now it's about he and Josh Allen being that Joe Montana to Jerry Rice. We know they're not that, but be as close as that as you can to help Buffalo get to the AFC Championship and back to the Super Bowl and finish what Jim Kelly and the great Thurman Thomas and Marv Levy did.
Yeah, so many great Bills, so many good teams, but just unable to get over that final hurdle and get it done. Let's talk about the other top receivers that are out there money-wise, and I want you to rank these 5 for me, Goo, because we've got some big names up there. First one is Tyreek Hill. As you mentioned, Tyreek goes from a Lambo to a Pinto, which, by the way, was a 3 out of 5 on the reference tip. I liked it. Hit a little too close to home, quite frankly. You got Stefan Diggs now in Buffalo. Devonte Adams with a virtual homecoming. He, of course, from Palo Alto here in the Bay Area. Great high school player. Went to the same high school as Jeremy Lin, for those of you not scoring from home. Nice. He goes to Vegas. Michael Thomas in New Orleans. DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona. Give me the loonies, Goo. I got 5 on it. Give me your top 5 among those 5.
This is why I love you. I'm giving you a 4 on the loonies reference.
Thank you.
Here we go. I'll go from the bottom to the top. At number 5, it's Michael Thomas. And again, it's recency bias, and this is how it goes. This is how it goes when you vote for any MVP award, most improved. You know, what are we looking at now? And the fact that he was reduced to 7 games last year.
Right.
I mean, 2020, he didn't play any last year. So to me, he's been MIA. So he's number 5.
I thought maybe you missed an opportunity there for a Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? I feel like you could have
That's nice,
there,
you know.
Who you got it for, Goo?
To have my back. I appreciate it. Tyreek Hill at number 4.
Wow.
And the reason I got Tyreek Hill at 4 is, let me tell you, I still can't get past that pass that he caught for like 7 yards against Buffalo and waved bye-bye. That's that track speed, Olympic-type sprinting speed. We know he's fast. But when you talk about the Randy Moss effect, the James Lofton or Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice, the ball in the air, I don't know if he's that guy, but I do know this. And this is not a prerequisite, but I'm using it. He's not 6'2". He's not 6'3". You know, he's not a mismatch from a physicality standpoint. He can run, and I'm just wondering now in Miami, now that he's left Mahomes, if Tua will be able to use him. So with that, I got him at number 4.
Okay, he's 6 years in Kansas City, Goo, real quick. He's coming off 111 catches, 9 touchdowns. But to your point, if the speed ever leaves physically from a matchup standpoint, 5'10", he's not going to be able to overpower people once he does slow down a little bit. Goo, who do you have at number 3?
Number 3 is Stefan Diggs. I love him. Like I said, I loved him in Minnesota, but Diggs is a baller, and he proved worth every nickel last year because Buffalo got up to that great start. So Stefan Diggs at number 3. And then DeAndre Hopkins, I know he got injured, but I honestly believe he has the best hands in the NFL. I'm calling him Spider-Man. I've seen him catch balls and hold on to them like you were blessed. You know, forget Kawhi Leonard. You got the claws with an S. So that's how highly I think of DeAndre Hopkins and a bounce-back season this year. And number 1 is the closest thing I think is to Jerry Rice, and that's Devonte Adams. I'm talking about route running, the ability, breakaway speed, catch it in stride and go. And you know what? For the people listening, Dibs, and you may even think this, you know, the quarterback plays a big part of what I visualize. And that's why I had Tyreek Hill at 4, because I don't think he's going to get those Mahomes-type chances with Miami. You didn't ask that, but that's why.
Actually, I was about to ask that, which it's interesting when you did your rankings the way you did, because I kind of agree with the theory, but I have them in a different order. I do have Michael Thomas at 5. You mentioned the injuries and the backstory there. It's been a little bit tough on him. I think DeAndre Hopkins at 4 for me is where that feels about right. Again, injuries, and I'm not totally sold on Calamari, a.k.a. Kyler Murray. I'm not positive that he can take that next step and really be elite. Then I go to Derek Carr and Devonte Adams at 3. I've got Tyreek Hill at 2 because if it's not Tua, they're going to figure it out sooner rather than later, and he's going to be a featured part of a great tandem down there in Miami. And I've got Stefan Diggs at number 1, Goo, and it's because of the NFL futures market. If you look at the futures market, the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl 57, by the way, the Buffalo Bills at 7-1.
Now that I'm not mad, and that's the beauty of what we do. You know, we're two different individuals. We see things different, but I got to say this to what you just said about your list. Why do I feel like you're underselling Hopkins? Because I know he was hurt, but he wasn't Michael Thomas hurt. But Dibs, he's played in the playoff game. I mean, he's made catches at the end of games in half. You know, just from a physical standpoint, if you went in the lab and you made a receiver, does Hopkins leave a little to be desired for you?
No, but
injuries that turned you off?
Yeah, it's the injuries and it's also the calendar, Goo, because he's going to be 30 years old when the season starts coming up here in about 4 or 5 months. And I think when you look at receivers over 30, the very few elite of the elite are able to keep their fastball into their 30s, mid-30s. And I'm not totally sold on the quarterback. You know, you mentioned social media. Real quick, Goo, how much did Kyler Murray's activity on social kind of affect how you feel about Arizona?
Well, I'll say this about Arizona. I've never been sold on Kingsbury and Cliff and Kyler. So I think that's at the root of the problem. The root of the problem is not, I believe, Murray and his inability to throw the ball downfield. Whatever they're running, I feel like Kyler wants out, and that's not going to happen because we saw Kingsbury get his new contract. But I expect him to come back with a vengeance this next year. But I don't know what to make of that. It was odd. Kyler said it was nothing. It looks like he's not going anywhere, Dibs. He'll be a Cardinal, and I expect him to make good music come next season.